In the heart of Napa Valley lies J. Moss Winery, a family-run small lot wine label born from a dream, a truckload of ambition, and a thirst for something real. James Moss, a Texan by birth, discovered his calling in wine after moving to California in 1998 and working in distribution. Nights and weekends, he immersed himself in the craft, working vineyards, learning from mentors such as Mark Jessup, and driven by one goal: handcrafted wines that speak to the soul of Napa Valley. Together with Janet, his wife and business partner, whose own journey spans decades here in the Valley, they transformed that vision into reality. Their very first vintage was served at their wedding in 2000, and in 2010, they opened J. Moss Winery in Napa's historic Crusher District. Today, the label remains committed to small lot production, single vineyard sourcing, and a level of quality that continues to earn respect across the valley. This isn't just winemaking, it's legacy, passion, and a testament to what dedication can turn into. Welcome to J. Moss Winery, and now, your host, Jeremy Jackson, in the Meet Me in Napa podcast. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Meet Me in Napa. I'm your host, Jeremy Jackson. I'm so excited to do this today. This is something that I've been planning and wanting to do for a long, long time. I'm here at the J. Moss Winery. We're here with Mr. James Moss. How you doing today?
I'm good, Jeremy. How you doing?
I'm excellent. I got the legendary Ryan Williams. If you don't know, now you know. Now, this is going to be a little different kind of conversation because, you know, I'm really, me and Ryan are cool, so you might catch us talking like we, you know, like buddy or something. But no, he's one of the guys that I met early on in my journey out here in Napa Valley. He's always been cool, always just talking to me, telling me different things, and sometimes laughing at me because I'm such a novice at stuff. I know you are. How you doing today?
I'm good.
You good?
I'm good.
You good?
Definitely.
All right. Well, you know, fellas, I wanted to bring you guys here because I'm documenting Napa Valley. And I had to have you guys on. You know, you guys are doing some incredible things. Mr. Moss, you've been here for, how long you been in the Valley?
25 years.
25 years. How about yourself?
26.
26, okay, so relatively about the same. Yeah, so, you know, you guys have been here, laid a foundation, long road ahead. The way, the valley that I walked into is not the valley you guys walked into. And you guys are just laid a foundation, especially for young black men like me coming in here, enjoying all the fruits of your guys' labor. So I had to come sit down and, you know, talk to you guys and just, you know, get your story. So, Mr. Moss, we'll start with you. What got you into the wine business? Where are you from? You know, what's kind of your journey leading you up here? I'm sorry. Man. One more second. Let's grab a glass of wine real quick. Let's cheers to a good conversation. Tell us about the wine that we're cheersing to before we toast to.
All right. We have a little bit of 2016 Stephenson's Vineyard from the Coombsville appellation.
Uh-huh.
So very dark soil, rich wine, very flavorful.
Uh-huh. And so this is, you said from the appellation?
From the Coombsville appellation.
Coombsville appellation.
It's an AVA of Napa Valley, which just basically means a great growing region.
Okay.
I believe there's 16 of them, right, Ryan?
17.
17 now.
Because they count Napa as I've been corrected so many times.
All right. Well, cheers. Let's cheers to that, man.
Yeah,
cheers to a good
definitely.
conversation. All right. So go ahead and tell us how you got to this wonderful facility. What's your wine journey like?
Oh, wow. Starts in Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm
Southern boy.
Dallas kid, right? Dallas, Texas. I actually started at Dr. Pepper, and this man, Calvin Crosby, came up to me one day and said, "Hey, man, you want to be in the wine business?" Mm-hmm. So ended up getting in the wine business in Dallas and starting that journey. As you probably know, I mean, I wasn't raised on wine.
Yeah.
But I was lucky enough to have that opportunity and embraced it. Mm-hmm. Started learning a whole lot about wine. Started coming to California just for learning purposes. Mm-hmm. Eventually met Janet at Silverado Country Club on one of my trips.
Okay.
Did harvest vacation on. Did a harvest on vacation.
Who's Janet?
That's my wife now.
Okay, that's your wife now. Okay. So she wasn't your wife at the time. Okay.
And all of a sudden, James is moving to Napa Valley. So
you didn't move here for the wine. You moved here because you found a wife.
I tell everybody, WW, wife and woman. I mean, a wine and woman.
Wine and woman.
Sorry,
Yeah.
But the crazy thing about it is I just stayed in sales and marketing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to learn more about wine. I knew Mark Jessup from representing him. Asked him if I could do intern, like a little internship with him, work with them up on their small family winery. He said yes. He just taught me so much about wine. Then after that, Janet worked for Domaine Caneros, the big French chateau champagne house, and she had gotten her winemaker's degree.
Okay.
And so she just loves going to school.
Yeah.
So she got her degree. I was helping Mark. So I was like, hey, you know what that means, right? We got to make some wine in the garage, right? So we ended up making a barrel of Merlot in the garage.
Okay.
Came out phenomenal.
No, that wasn't sanctioned by the city, was it?
That wasn't sanctioned by nobody. That was sanctioned by James Moss. And so we ultimately served it at our wedding. Man, it was a big hit, Jeremy. Came out great. Kind of inspired us to move a little further. I knew Gustavo Bambila, very famous winemaker in Napa Valley.
Okay. Did he make wines? What was his? He said he was famous. Like, what was he more?
So he was mainly famous because he worked for Chateau Montelena in Gurgis.
Okay.
And he was part of the winemaking team that they made a movie after.
Okay.
Called Bottle Shock.
Okay.
And he was on that winemaking team, and that wine that they made at Chateau Montelena won first prize on an all-French wine panel in Paris.
I remember that. That was
France.
for Stag's
Leap was
Stag's
part
Leap.
of that.
Yes. Yeah.
And Chateau Montelena.
That's one of the most popular stories I constantly hear.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what
put Napa on
I
the
was about
map.
to say.
Yeah.
That story was kind of what put Napa on the map. Yeah.
That's what brought the Frenchies here.
Okay.
You know, so yeah, it put Napa Valley straight into premium. And so
And he was your mentor.
Yeah.
Okay.
He really taught me a lot about wine. I made wine at his facility probably for the first 8 or 9 years while we were making reds. You know, we're really known for red wine. Is what J. Moss is really known for. And then in 2010, we built this facility here out.
Okay. So with that journey, like you covered a lot, but you're in Dallas. Did you fall in love with wine while you were in Dallas? Because you said somebody asked you to work in wine, but what was your like very first memory of like wine? Was it at a thing? Did your grandma have a bottle of wine? Was it a friend? How did you fall in love with it?
It was truly after I was in the business.
Okay.
Because whenever I started, I really didn't know much about wine, but it was intriguing. As Ryan knows, I mean, there's so many stories about wine, right, Ryan? You know, Dom Perignon, you know, Bordeaux, you know, all these different stories about wine is just so intriguing. It really is captivating, right?
Yeah.
So, so I got in the wine business, and they offer these classes. So I was going to all these classes and hearing these stories and tasting wine and really, trying to get familiar with wine. And then one day we were going to a dinner in Dallas, and someone brought a bottle of 1981 Rubicon. And so they poured me a glass of that. And you're swirling, smelling. And I'm like, wow, this has got like red cherries and just a rush of cherries. And I tasted that wine, man, it transformed me into just a wine lover instantly. That was the wine that did it.
Yeah.
And so after that point, I was like, man, people can make wine that tastes this good.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. And that was like in 1994, and it was a 1981 bottle of wine.
Yeah.
So after that moment there, I was really just seeking knowledge like no tomorrow.
Okay.
And so that's when I really knew that, wow, I think I could like this wine.
Yeah, yeah. So we're here in your production facility, as you can see behind us. We've got your tanks and everything. And for those, even though probably by the time this comes out, they won't know, but harvest just ended.
Right.
Right. So how was your harvest this year, and how was your understanding from learning from those men and those people early on helped you in your production with your brand, J. Moss?
You never stop learning. I mean, I truly believe that you can continue to learn. And also, too, I like implementing other people into the process, too. I can remember for the first probably 15 years or so of winemaking, I always had, or at least the first 10 years, I always had Gus as a fallback, and then I would say the last 10 years, we're doing predominantly most of it. But the one thing that I really embrace is having other people, collaborating, so I really enjoy that because, there's a lot of talented winemakers in this valley and around the world.
Yeah.
So if you can definitely, collaborate with someone, get someone to kind of just sit at the table while you're doing blendings and, talking about wine, picking their brain, they're picking your brain. It really is, it could be magical.
Yeah.
It's just a great thing, Jeremy. But so I really like to continue to do that type of stuff, continue to learn about wine. I still do a lot of the same things I did from the first years because whenever we started, I truly believe, man, we started on a great note with some great knowledge of, fermentations and vineyards, because it starts in the vineyard.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever heard that term, it's hard to make great wine from shitty grapes.
I've heard that.
But so starts in the vineyard, so we're trying to make sure that the grapes come out to where the quality that we're looking for and the standard that J. Moss sets year in and year out. And from that point, we really want to try to get our fermentations right, barrel aging programs. We have some great barrel aging programs. This building is probably 85% French oak, 15% American. So, we've played with a lot of different cooperages over the years, but it's fun.
So we're in 2025 now. What was your first year? What was your first vintage year of your label?
The first vintage was 2000. It was our first vintage. Well, we got our license in 2000. Our very first vintage was 2001.
Okay. What is your favorite year? So I asked this. I was talking to a winemaker the other day, and I asked her, and I'll tell you after you tell me yours. What's your favorite year from the year you started to this year? What is your favorite year? Somebody comes into J. Moss and say, hey, give me the best year. And I know everybody gonna say right now, right? But what do you feel? And maybe not your wine in particular, just in the valley. What's the consensus amongst other people to feel like, hey, this was one of the best years that Napa Valley's had with wine?
Wow. I mean, a lot of people tend to think 2007 was really a great year in the valley, besides old school back in the day. Like 1987 may have been the best vintage ever in Napa Valley. Pretty close, huh, Ryan?
I was feeling 01 and 02.
01 and 02?
Yeah,
Okay.
01
Okay.
it was a really good vintage. Me personally, wow, that's a good question. I tell you one vintage that I really liked a lot, and that was 2004.
I'm normally an even. But '01 was really nice.
Oh,
But I'm to me, the even years are approachable up on release, and the odd years needed a little time to come to themselves. That's just what I've experienced.
Yeah.
Because we made some great wine in '04. I mean, or either that was my coming out wine party.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, it's funny I say, because I think there's the other part of it too, where the people's favorite year might not just be the wine itself. It's what was happening in their life at the time.
Yeah.
So everybody's having this different experience, and you're meeting people, or maybe there was a huge party, or that year was a breakthrough moment, and so it's all associated. And that's one of the things I love about just the journey, my personal journey in wine. Right? I mean, I don't make it, I don't sell it, but I drink a lot of it.
And love that part.
Yeah. Right. Everybody loves that part, right? And I've had the privilege to drink with men like Ryan and other people in the Valley, where I'm coming in as a novice, and these are just, you guys have more years, you've forgotten more years than I can, remember about wine. And you're telling me things that I wouldn't have known early in my journey, how to smell it, the tasting it, the difference in why this hill and this valley and that country invented. So I'm learning all this stuff, which is a lot. But I will say that having those experiences, being at a party somewhere, meeting someone, and you're like, and you're having this glass of wine or this bottle, and it just that particular label or that particular year sticks with you for that reason.
Right. Right.
Like, I was having this 2021, or I was having this 2018, and so I love that story, how it's all intertwined with each individual's journey and how they feel about the wine.
I remember when 2007 came out and how everybody, the rave and the craze was so over the top of 2007, but 2008 was a sleeper.
Yeah.
2008, Ryan, was pretty daggum good, man.
I think the biggest sleeper was 2011.
Yeah.
Because there was latter rain.
A lot of rain at the end.
And our winemaker at the time, the winery I was working for, used to work for Mondavi, and he did this thing called shake and bake. And he went out and barely shook the vines, and all the rotten fruit fell off. So when the pickers came through, they only got good fruit. So we were able to make some stellar wines. And the critics and all the media were saying, "Oh, don't buy 11, it's horrible."
Skip it,
But then people they was like, "Oh, the people who were able to make it made some very good wine in that year." So that was one of those sleeper.
Okay. So Ryan, tell us a little about your style. What's your journey? How'd you, where are you from? How did you get to the Valley?
It's a very unique journey.
And it's crazy too, because I know Ryan for like 20 years, right, Ryan? Which is really crazy.
Born in Oakland, raised in Berkeley.
Okay.
Went off to college, Cal State Northridge for a while, and was a member. I was engineering to start.
Okay.
So I was a member of National Society of Black Engineers, and at that time, a good friend of mine from Chicago, his cousin was coming out to Napa, and this was in '89. And she was like, "I'm coming to San Francisco and I want to go to Napa." And I was like, "The only thing in Napa is a crazy house."
It's so funny you say that, because, like I always tell people, I grew up about 15, 20 minutes from here, and that's all we knew Napa for. I mean, it was like, oh, that crazy house, and that was the running joke. Somebody we know go crazy school, man, take them to Napa, because they had the mental health.
It was. And they had some famous people that rolled through there, so that's what we knew. And I wasn't a wine drinker at all. And she was like, "They have wineries and spas with like mud baths." And I was like, "Who takes a bath in the mud?" She was like, "I'm gonna need you to quit complaining."
You're like, "I'm from Oakland."
She was like, "I just need you to get me there." So our first stop when we came up here was Chimney Rock.
Okay.
It's a very heavy cab house, South African based, the whole design of the place, and they poured their Tomahawk, which was one of their higher end cabs, and I was like, "This is nasty." And she was like, "I don't need you to complain, don't embarrass me in front of these people. If you don't like it, just pour it out."
Can't bring you nowhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
Then she took me over to Mondavi, and they first poured their Fume Blanc, and I was like, "This is like lemonade with no sugar." And she was like, "Didn't I say quit complaining? If you don't like it, then pour it out." They poured the Chardonnay, and I was like, And then they poured that Moscato, and I was like, "Ooh, this is nice."
So they got you.
I had no palate.
Yeah, right.
So my proclivity was towards sweet. So that's why I never frown on people at wherever they start their journey and whatever they're doing. I was not who I am today.
Exactly.
Lo and behold, beautiful up here. So my boy Ken Wynn, my fraternity brother from Northridge, we eventually started a catering business. And we started coming up here more often. And we started meeting all of the winemakers, and they fell in love with us and started giving us industry discounts on whoever we brought through. So we would come through with 3 limos and like really enjoy it. And I thought only people who lived here worked here. So I was like, this is a distant dream. I would love to work up there, but I'm not moving in Napa, so not gonna happen. Lo and behold, we decided that one of us needed to go to culinary school because we had professional degrees, but we did not have a catering or hospitality degree. And I started looking, I figured I would take the bite, and the program I found was in Campbell, California. And not only did they have culinary, they had hospitality management as well as pastry, but then they had a wine program which would guarantee that you would become a certified sommelier through Quarter Masters. And I was like, I think I'm about to jump off this catering train and I'm about to jump on this wine train. And so that's when I went through and got my certification. And the director, David Glancy, got me a job at Anna Mandar, which was modern Vietnamese restaurant in Ghirardelli Square in San Francisco, owned by Don Johnson and Cheech
from
Marin.
the wine school? Okay.
Yeah.
And I was the assistant wine director, and then the wine director, Joanna Breslin, ended up moving on, and so they promoted me to wine director. And we had a stellar list. Paramount Studios designed the whole restaurant, so it was like a thing.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
And so I became really, really, really hot in San Francisco. Now, prior to getting that certification, you were talking about favorite wines. My wine experience was at Michael Mina restaurant with Rajat Parr. They used to serve truffle popcorn as like a little appetizer at the bar or whatever. And so he knew I was studying, and he brought over a 1989 Domaine Lafleur Polini Montrachet, and he had me try it and kind of guess on it. That truffle popcorn with that white bird was like, I was like, this is some new level. Like,
the pairing, the pairing of the two. Yeah.
And so that's what I became very good at Anna Mandar, because we had a wine list that was phenomenal. Matter of fact, I was kind of cutting edge because I never served a California Chardonnay. It was always Oregon, and I had a Chablis to go with it. So every domestic, I had at least a French or Italian or Spanish to go alongside of it. And so and a dessert list that was insane. Like, so that was fun. When that wound down, and I ended up going to Dixie restaurant in the Presidio with Chef Joseph Humphrey, who got his start at Meadowwood and at Auberge. And so he ended up opening his own. Lo and behold, I'm down in LA working LA Food and Wine Festival, and I get a call saying Chef just walked out. He can't do this no more. And the place just started going down, and that's when I ended up joining with Hall, and I was with them for 11 and a half years and then retired in May.
So you were with Hall Winery?
Hall Winery.
So you weren't living in Napa till you came to work with Hall?
A year and a half into it.
Okay.
And I moved to Sonoma first.
Okay.
And lived there for about 2.5, and then I finally moved to Napa.
Okay. So, I mean, one thing that you know, like, you guys were both saying your first kind of experience that made you fall in love with wine. Why do you think that a lot of wine drinkers, and I notice this especially amongst Black people, we love the sweet wines first. Well, so what do you think that is that we're so attracted to the sweet wines first?
I think it's because of how you were brought up and in a household, because there's a sister, Justice Ward, and she has Ward she grew up in DC, but her parents were wine lovers. So she grew up drinking Burgundy and Bordeaux. So she didn't have the same experience I had. I grew up drinking Kool-Aid.
That's what I'm saying. That's because everybody, because we all drink Kool-Aid and sweet tea. Right?
Yeah.
But my experience, I didn't drink too much sweet wine. And it's probably because of the fact that the way I was introduced to wine, you know, when I went into the wine company, and I was taking their classes every week, they didn't pour sweet wines. They just poured wines around the world and different varietals. And so I was tasting all these different varietals, and I was just really just thinking, wow, man, I'm not liking this at all, but I just kept on. And then, eventually, I think the first wine, Ryan, that I really like kind of started to like was like a fruity Merlot. Because and I can't remember who it was from back then, but it was really like a fruity Merlot. I remember asking, "What is this?" And it tasted pretty good, and then it just kind of grew from there. And so that was basically my introduction to wine. Was really wine classes. For me personally, because like Ryan says, man, my household was beer. And because that's what my dad drank, was predominantly beer, and if he drank
Kool-Aid,
brown goods, right? And
water, soda, Coca-Cola, or a bunch of Coca-Cola.
And I'll tell you, if you don't get the introduction, because my family, we are known, my mother's side is mostly northern Louisiana, and my father's side is Houston, Texas. So whenever we get together, it's definitely more food oriented. But then we have some in-laws that married in, and they were into the wine, but they was bringing magnums of Sutter Home White Zin and Moscato. And I was like, you know how much I paid for these ingredients? You can't bring that sugar water in here because it's gonna wash away everything. Like,
that's what's funny, because like that Sutter Home, that was I think as a kid, my parents didn't drink wine, but when I was at other people's houses or like big family gatherings, it was always like Sutter Homes. I was like, oh, that must be the wine. That was because that was the store
had
by
a market,
brand.
and it was very easy to drink. It was
very.
The challenge with it is when you start pairing it with food, because there was that high residual sugar, so it kind of takes away from that food experience. And so I started telling them, go to a restaurant. I said, this might be a little vulgar, but I was like, if you bring this again, I'm gonna spit in your plate. I was like, if you go to a restaurant and you want that taste of sweetness, try a Riesling. It's gonna give you that same feel. It's gonna give you that, but it has the acidity that's gonna help with that food experience that you're having. So they start texting me and blowing up my phone. They got this. Which one should I get? And I was like, okay, I'm gonna start charging.
And the pairing in the food part, right? Because I think when I was younger, we just drinking straight wine, and then cheap wine at that. And then as I lived out here and I'm eating different restaurants and starting to pair it, and I would say that probably had to be one of the reasons that made me fall even deeper in love with the wine. So many times when I'm around people, even like you, I never had experience with you, but I'm around people who are knowledgeable as you guys. You're at their house and they'll pour some wine, and then they'll be like, here, taste this. And then they taste it, and then they'll hand you something. You know what I mean? And they're like, now eat that, And I'm like, and you just kind of just.
James does that with one of our brownie bites in the Merlot. Like, he'll tell them, take a sip, then have that. And they're like, ooh, it's an experience.
It's an experience, man. It just makes you, I think for me, I started to fall in love with Pinot because it was a little bit more sweeter. I could taste some more of the sweetness in it, even though it's not a sweet wine.
Right.
But it's me
more fruit.
It's more fruit forward than a cab and different things. So that was what I first started to fall in love with, because I had that same journey where I was in the Moscato and all that stuff. So I was thinking like, I like sweet wine better. But now, I appreciate. I had some I can never say it right. Semillon. I fell in love with Semillon. I was with my boy Matt, and we were out drinking, and he poured some Chablis. We were out in a restaurant, he ordered some Chablis, and I said, Chablis? I said, man, I thought that was cheap stuff. Because E40 got a song.
But you know what?
E40, no, hold on.
Gallo used to have the big jug.
Yeah, the big
one
jug.
said burgundy and one said Chablis. One was white and one was red.
Yeah. And that's what Carlos Rossi
Yes.
had, the big Chablis. So I used to associate that with the cheap one. But of course it wasn't Carlos Rossi, but that kind of like what your perception is when you're younger, or however your introduction is, does matter. Because I just thought Chablis, and I'm sitting here drinking with this Master Simon, he's ordering Chablis, and I'm thinking in my head like, wait a second, you know what I mean? So it's just funny how, the wine world works once you enter to it, and how you can learn different things. And And I would just say for people, if you don't know it, if you don't know wine and you're intimidated by it, try to learn it in the aspect of pairing it with food. That would be probably the best way I think for me, that's what made me fall in love deeper with it than just trying to just learn the notes and smell it, because it could be a difficult thing, right?
And
okay.
everybody has a start on their journey,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
even continually. K.R. Rombauer is a very good friend, and he always used to inquire, so what you think about my wines? I was like, the Zinfandel is nice. He's like, what about the Chard? I was like, there's a market for it. It's not my preference.
Right,
and so
right.
I want to make sure people understand when people do that, it's just something that you necessarily, people used to come into the tasting room and they're like, so what's your favorite wine? I was like, that's a very unfair question. They were like, why would you say that? I was like, do you like escargot? They was like, oh, I love it. I was like, I don't. So
Yeah.
my favorite does not necessarily match yours.
Right.
What we try and do is find out what your tastes are
yeah.
and what you like, and then match something so that you have a good experience.
Yeah.
That's like like Ryan says, people come and says, what's your best wine? Well, what I think my best wine is may not be what you think my best wine is.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Because our palate, everyone has their own individual palate, and I truly believe there's a wine for everyone. You just have to find what wine you like.
Yeah.
And that's a journey.
Yeah, it
right?
is.
And don't give up on your journey. Keep your journey going. Taste wines. Experience different things. Taste them. Then go back, taste them with food, but it is a journey, and it can be a really fun journey.
Yeah.
I think tasting different wines, wines around the world, all of that, man, it can be so much fun.
Yeah.
Because you truly find out what your palate is like.
Yeah, yeah.
And then how that crosses over with your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just trying to pivot in for a second here. I think about you guys, and you were telling about the retired winemaker guy from Sonoma. He just retired. I think we were talking about him last time we met. His name, the brother, African American.
Matt McDonald.
Matt McDonald.
Yeah.
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 So what's interesting enough is his name literally, for the first time I ever heard it, just came up about a month ago.
Vision Cellars.
Yeah, I was interviewing someone else and they brought up his name.
I might have got called a Godfather, but he is truly
He is
the
truly the
Godfather.
Godfather.
Yes.
Yeah. He's
He
the Godfather.
is.
Yeah. So I'm gonna definitely try to reach out to him and get him on. But I wanted to say, you guys came in. There's just an explosion of just, and I don't want to say just black people, but just culturally multicultural people who are in wine today. But when you guys came in, it wasn't like that. What do you feel like? What sense of like joy or maybe even reservation? What do you guys feel that you see what's happening in the wine space today as it's expanding? And just what are your thoughts about it?
I would say since George Floyd, there was a spotlight because everybody was at home and everybody got to see exactly how we were being treated. And they started making all of these movements, the whole DEI movement, and definitely the Black woman movement. They were pushing scholarship funds to help people get credentials in wine. I sit on the board, David Glancy Wine Education Foundation, where we pretty much want people to apply, and we will give you, according to what your salary is, scholarships in order for you to get further wine credentials. So I think there was much more opportunity after that. And the door was open for people to actually get in and get some experience and get some credentials behind their name and get some internships. And there were more opportunities than there were prior to.
And then also too, it opened a door for people to try more people of color wines, that maybe they hadn't tried in the past. They just kind of overlooked. And that's when COVID happened too, and so there was really a lot of times when, we back then got so many new customers that we never heard of before trying our wines and
Online?
yeah, online. And so and I can only assume, well, I don't assume, I do know we still have some of those customers today. So that's which is a really great thing, is that it opened people's minds,
Yeah.
right, to that adventure. But it's just like anything, man. I'm glad that we have so many people of color in this space now. We may not have a whole lot in the Napa space, but it's going to continue to grow, I believe.
Yeah.
And we got some pretty talented people of color that are making some phenomenal wines.
Yeah.
And we got a couple in Napa Valley, right, that are making great wines. So I think this is a space that's going to continue to grow and going to continue to get better. And you've got, different people trying to help. Black Vines is one, that's
Shout out
really
to Black
trying
Vines,
to help, everyone in this space, along with AAAV. So there's some organizations out there that are, trying to do some really good stuff. So I think it's a great opportunity, and it's only going to get better.
Yeah. I see, like, I feel like in the South, I don't know what your experience was when you were in Dallas when you were younger, but it seems like in the South, it's I was in Atlanta a few months ago, and even when I see on the Instagram and stuff, people are like, the wine scene is like exploding, right, in Atlanta and
Now
Houston.
that's ironic, because back in the day, in those Nesby days, when I used to go and visit, and even when I was working for Boys and Girls Club, I would go there and it was like, I want to take you wine tasting, but you from Napa, like we only got the cheap gasoline wine. Because they grow wine in every state. In every state, but they was like, we don't really, but yes, it has definitely evolved and it definitely has progressed and changed.
Yeah.
So give me, let's step outside of Napa a little bit. Give me one of your favorite areas of wine, regions of wine, and why does it stand out to you? What do you love about that wine?
I mean, for me personally, since I'm predominantly a red guy, I have to probably leave the United States and go to Bordeaux. I spent 10 days in Bordeaux, and before I spent those 10 days in Bordeaux, I didn't really have an appreciation for Bordeaux. I really didn't. I just thought, back then, oh man, this is just overpriced red wine.
Yeah.
But they got something special going on, man. I'm telling you, it's and I give it to them. I wish I could, have my wine sold for $300 a bottle before it's even bottled. right? But the tradition, how they make the wine, the commitment behind those wines, the facilities, the years.
Yeah,
long time.
Yeah.
So it just gave me a whole new appreciation for that. And tasting Bordeaux out of the barrel, I think I probably was fortunate enough to go at the right time because we tasted 2000 Bordeaux out of the barrel.
Okay.
From most of the first growth properties there in Bordeaux, and which Robert Parker deemed to be the best vintage of the century, right? So wasn't bad juice.
Yeah.
Right.
Good juice.
But I would have to say Bordeaux for me
Okay.
would be the Napa wine region that I'm most impressed by.
All right. How about yourself?
I have 5.
You have 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
3 are Old World, all French.
Okay.
No, they're not all French. 3 countries: Germany / Austria, Portugal, and then France. And in France is Champagne, Burgundy, and Loire. Germany is all over.
I've never heard somebody say Germany.
But I'm a big Riesling.
Rieslings.
I call myself
Riesling.
I call myself a high-acid white boy.
Okay.
So most wines who have, and Portugal is my other.
Okay.
And I've been fortunate enough to visit both Portugal and Germany. And so
is it the Porto?
no,
Okay.
not even it's their still wines.
Okay.
They're very much like Italy. They have so many varieties that you can't even keep up with how many there are.
Yeah.
And that's why they put all of them into and they'll tell you, drink it if you like it, good. If not, don't ask me what's in it. But they're beautiful, still reds and whites, as well as the ports. And yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big port fan myself.
And what are the two American regions?
Oh, not American.
Oh,
But they are New World.
New World. Okay, New World.
So it would be New Zealand and South Africa.
South Africa.
And my first wine director, Joanna Breslin, she baptized me in all things South Africa. She had gone like 3 times, and so we had a pretty significant list. And
Okay.
they do a very good job at Pinotage, if you find the right ones. Definitely they have the Chenin Blanc and really, really nice, some cabs. And in New Zealand, I love the Pinots as well as they've been doing some cabs in the Gimlet Gravel area. So New Zealand and
I mean, New Zealand is making some pretty great white wine too.
They are.
I'm a big fan of New Zealand whites.
Okay.
I've had some Pinots that were pretty good. Tend to be a little bit high in acidity, but pairs well with food, right?
And the smell from New Zealand Pinot, from New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc used to be a little in your face. Gooseberry is what they call it.
Okay.
McBride Sisters makes a nice, but it's not as offensive, but it still has all of the weight, the character, the structure, and the tone. So they make a New Zealand because one of the sisters is from New Zealand, and the other one is from Monterey.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Same father, but met each other in adulthood, and that's how they got. So yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's an interesting story. Okay, so you guys had this long story journey. I mean, we don't have enough time to like tell it all, right? But what are some things that you are hopeful for the future? Not only for your business, but just for your future wine. And what do you see? What would you how would you like it to see? Of course, you from 25 years ago, you just kind of come in and you're just trying to figure it out, right? And you're like doing all these things. Now you guys are seasoned veterans. What would you like to see the young people who are coming up, who are getting into wine, 25 years, if their journey was to start today, what would you want to see how the industry grows or how it changes, evolves?
One point, stop believing the hype. Media always puts these narratives out which are not true. The wine is ending, it's coming to a crash. The young people don't want it, but that's not true. They prefer experiences over older generations which would just come in and buy cases and lay them down and have them. They want an experience, and if they get a good experience, then they're going to buy the wine.
They're going to buy the wine, definitely.
So stop putting that narrative out there that wine is going away and it's not going to exist and it's crashing. Because when people hear that, then they're like, well, I'm not going to go to Napa because most of them probably about to close.
Exactly.
No, Napa is not dead. I care. I'm on these streets almost every weekend. It's far from dead, I promise you. I mean, it like any other industry, it goes through its challenges, but it's far from dead. I mean, people are, they're doing their thing. Yeah. How about yourself?
I think that, our younger folks should just make sure to embrace everyone. Don't prejudge. Embrace all cultures. Target all cultures. Because that's what it's all about. If we can all be on the same page, we can all get along. And and that's what it takes in the wine industry. It takes everyone. It takes a village. Just like J. Moss and I'm sure other wineries also. When you start out in the wine business, you start out looking for your friends and family, right?
Your community,
your community, right?
Yeah.
Because that's where you generally start. But just make sure you keep an open mind and touch everyone, man. Just embrace everyone. Feel free to step outside the box. Don't be afraid to ask how the young people say, the OGs. What worked, what didn't work. shorten up your window, for success. Because, I ask people, I'm always asking questions, what works for you guys, or, what don't work for you guys, or can you help me do this, or can you help me do that? So I just think that communication is, along with that, would be a great tool.
You from Dallas? You a Cowboys fan?
Huge.
Did you see that game last night?
I sure did.
Man.
Yeah.
I want to put this on the record. I like the city. I love the city of Dallas. I hate the Cowboys. I'm gonna say it right now. I'm gonna say I'm a 49er. You know what I mean? San Francisco.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I'm a Niner fan, so I can't. There's no love in my heart for the Dallas Cowboys. So yeah, I can't even congratulate y'all on that very great win last night. But his wine is way better than the Cowboys. I tell you that. The quality of this wine is way better than that team. Anyway, I just wanted to end on a light note, talk a little smack about your boys. Who you like? You watch football?
My mother was football and basketball.
You basketball? Who you in basketball?
I still believe.
Okay. We going to state. All right.
Yeah.
All right. You know what I need to do? I'm at the end of every episode, I've been doing call outs to people that I want future. So I'm gonna call out right now. I need Steph and Aisha to come on. We're gonna bring you on. We're gonna taste wines together, all right? Because you from the town, you know what I mean?
That's a good thing.
And my last question. So you're more of a somm guy, right?
Yes.
And you're more of a winemaker guy. So I'm in a restaurant. I'm a novice. I come in. You're a winemaker. He's a somm guy. Who's gonna give me the best advice on what I should order for some food?
I say
not for some food, for some wine.
He's probably gonna say some. But he's coming from
listen,
a different
don't give me no
point of
politically
view,
correct.
He's
Pick a
coming
side.
from more of, he's gonna pick wine based on his somm and what food he has on his wine list.
And that's what because we're there to sell both. But a lot of the somms that I know actually get more involved, and they've been doing harvests, and so they get a lot more knowledge of the winemaking. So they're going to present according to what you're looking for.
Okay.
I don't know if that's politically
No.
correct.
I just want your answer.
Yeah,
I just, I'm trying to start little wars out here between the winemakers.
And I'm always gonna pick wine based on what I feel is the best made or the best flavor profile that I'm personally looking for, or the people that I'm with looking for. And that's just generally how I roll 24/7.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, baby, it's liquid to lips. Because that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah,
We're trying to get people to taste wine. We're trying to get people to purchase wine. And so you got to taste it, and you got to love it.
Yeah.
I'll give you a good example. Vietnamese restaurant, Anamandar. First course is fresh spring rolls. Lettuce, shrimp, in a little wrapper. Pharmaceutical table. They're trying to show who's his biggest. So he's like, oh, bring me that Schaefer Hillside. I was like, can I talk to you for a second? I know what you're looking for to impress, but for the experience, everybody at the table is not going to be. So maybe a Syrah, because you'll get the same weight, you'll get that same profile that you're looking for, but it won't be as tannic and it won't compete with the food. So yes, he's right. I'm always looking for the experience, not necessarily because you could. I could have sold you that, and I would have made a much bigger commission off. But then the rest of the people at the table gonna go and tell 20 more friends that food is horrible. That's always our focus.
Yeah. Well, man, you guys, thank you so much. I want to say it was important to me to have you guys on my show, not just because of what I'm doing, but I want to make sure that journeys are being told, individuals are being highlighted, and I want to make sure that this is going to go out one day and somebody's going to see it. I want a kid in high school. I want a young 20-year-old who don't really know what he want to do yet and doesn't even know that this is an option, right? Because this wasn't an option to me, and I've said this on multiple episodes. I lived 15 minutes from here. It wasn't even like, hey, you can go. I could have just be a bartender, be a chef, or be it was never pitched to you as a viable career. And so I want to make sure that if whoever's deciding to do it, you're not new to this.
Right.
There's been men and women alike who have been on this journey for a very long time, and they've kicked down many doors, and you two are definitely two men who have done it. And so thank you for coming on to the podcast. Thank you for telling us your journey. And, you know, we got more stories to tell you guys, and meet me in Napa. We're going to bring you some more guests, exciting guests, and more storytelling. And thank you for joining us. J. Moss Winery, when you come to Napa Valley, this always has to be one of your stops.
Exactly.
Always has to be one of your stops,
Exactly.
you know, because it's good wine, and for no other reason than it's good wine.
Yes.
You know,
exactly.
and so
you know, if you like wine,
yeah.
J. Moss is the wine.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Lips, would you say lips to what?
Lips to liquid.
Lips to liquid, all right. J. Moss Wine, lips to liquid. I'm your host, Jeremy Jackson. Thank you, Ryan Williams, Mr. James Moss.